Hey guys, this is Ed from the Kaizen Effect, and what I want to talk to you about today is the idea of painting your reality and your conception of it such that it always supports your endeavors, props you up and motivates you, and gives you more than it takes. And this is going to be a very important concept. It's going to be a pivotal self-developmental concept that I will refer back to multiple times in subsequent videos. So I'm going to spend a lot of time on it, and I hope you get a lot out of it. But before I delve into the main concepts I want to really discuss, let's take a step back and sort of motivate you as to why you should care about this and why it's so important, okay? And let's back up towards how everybody starts their day. So when you start your day, you know, everybody has their different routine, different habits, but essentially you wake up, maybe you get dressed, you eat, you brush your teeth, you do whatever you do in the day, and then you go out into the real world. And what happens is, once you go out into the real world, you know, you have a ton of sensory information that's pouring in like a waterfall. You know, you have visual stimulation, you have hearing stimulation, olfactory stimulation when you're smelling things, and especially if you're in a city, you know, you're walking through a ton of people and you see so much stuff. And the sensory information that's pouring in, it's almost, you know, it's so much that it inundates you, and there's no way to process all that information, okay? So what happens is something that is known as your reticular activation system actually zones in on certain sensory information that is important to you, your endeavors, your goals, and the things you're trying to attain, right? And that's where the human nature comes in. So, you know, you have the sensory information, and then you have the human element. And what's great about humans is the fact that they can take this sensory information, process it, filter it, and shape it in whatever the way they want possible such that it works for them. You know, we're not like animals. We're not restricted to abiding by our instincts. We have control. We are the artists. We are the painters, okay? So what happens is once that sensory information comes in, we then arrange it based upon what information we're focusing on with our reticular activation system. We arrange it into this perception of the world that guides us and allows us to navigate it, right? So in a sense, you know, we could think of the sensory information as this paint, and we as the painters, we dip our, you know, our brushes into that paint, and then we paint this nice picture of reality. And using that picture, it serves as a map through which we can navigate the world and make our decisions and, you know, do what we do and use it for reaching the goals that we want to attain. So as you can imagine, it's very important that a few things. First thing is, it's very important that the painting you paint converges upon reality such that it's a good guide for what you're doing, such that it can help you navigate the world intelligently and wisely. But at the same time, you want to make sure that the picture you paint is something that props you up, supports you, and gives more than it takes away from you, such that it's always supporting the endeavors that you're engaging in and doesn't hold you back. It's the support that gets you closer into the sky, who's the dreams you're trying to reach, you're trying to grab, right? So it's very important that you paint a picture that you love, not an existence that you hated, not something that really pesters you and holds you back. Okay, and in order to demonstrate really the importance of this, I'm going to have two examples that I'm going to work on. One example is going to focus on what happens when you paint your picture in a way that gives more to you than it takes, that is characterized by a lot of positive things, a lot of happy things, and supports you in all that you're doing no matter what, and helps you get the success that you're looking for. The other area I'm going to look at is when you're entrenched in a pool of negativity and how that washes over you and prevents you from seeing things and acting in a certain way that's conducive for the kind of things that you're trying to attain yourself. So let's focus first on the positive thing. And to demonstrate this, I want to use an example of a friend, a story he told me back when he was a child. So when he was a child, you know, this guy is, right now, he's a brilliant, very intelligent man, and he has actually been a great mentor for me and helped me out in a lot of things. But when he was a child, he had some difficulty in school, in you know, like kindergarten and elementary school. And what happened was his teachers actually said to his parents, he said, you know, this person has a disability, he has a learning disability, you know, he probably won't be able to engage with other kids, other content in the classes, and I think I want to put him in a special education kind of class, okay? And this was because he was reading very slowly and he wasn't able to keep up with a lot of the kids. And when that happens, you have one of two options, okay? The first thing is you can accept that. And you can paint your reality in a way such that you're perceived as somebody who's inadequate, who's not capable of doing things, who cannot make choices for themselves, who cannot take action and sufficiently accomplish the things that you need to do. And if you take that route, if you paint yourself in that kind of way, what's going to happen is it's going to hold you back, right? If you're given an opportunity that's poses a big challenge, but you perceive yourself as inadequate, as somebody who cannot, accomplish things, meet challenges, meet them aggressively, and make things happen, what do you think's going to happen? You're going to send all this information to your nervous system that says, I'm not inadequate, I can't do this, I can't make this happen. And when you actually have to go and make that happen, it's going to be an existence or a painting of reality that holds you back. It's going to take more from you instead of propping you on, motivating you, and getting you closer to the dreams and the things that you want to accomplish yourself. Okay? So what happened in this situation, his mother actually decided not to take that route, okay? She didn't want to paint her son as inadequate, as somebody who is incapable of doing things, okay? Instead, she said, no, nothing is wrong with my child. Nothing is wrong with my child. And instead, she took him to another resource outside of the school system, okay? She said, hey, can you test my son? People at school saying, he's inadequate, he can't learn very well, and something is wrong with him. Can you do some kind of analysis upon him? Okay, so she took him into there, they tested him, and she was waiting in the waiting room, and after a bit of testing, they came out and they said, ma'am, nothing is wrong with your child. In fact, he is a genius. What they discovered was the way in which this individual learns is different from other kids. He has a different way of learning, and that makes sense because everybody has their own unique way of learning things. Some people learn visually, some people learn through hearing things, some people learn independently, some people are dependent upon others for learning. There are a wide range of ways to learn. But they discovered that this individual, he had to read things in a different way. He processed information differently than other people, okay? And as a result of that, they started teaching him different ways, putting him through different lesson plans and things of that nature, and they found out that his IQ and his reading capability far exceeded that of his peers and people surrounding him, okay? And what happens if you perceive yourself as somebody who is capable but who learns in a different way? When you do that, you paint yourself as somebody who can do things, who can accomplish things. And if you perceive yourself in that positive way, you're going to feed that kind of outlook and perception of yourself to your body, to your nervous system, and you're going to be programmed in a certain way to be engaged in what you're doing. You believe that you can do things, and you actually go out and make things happen. Well, it's a good thing his mother did this, because in the long run, what happened was he ended up going to school. He became an engineer. He got a bachelor's degree, then he got a master's degree, and he went on to actually become the president of. So, that's a very big accomplishment. And the real question is, what would have happened if he didn't paint his picture in a way that supported himself? What if he perceived himself as somebody who was inadequate, somebody who couldn't get things done, somebody who had to be in a special education program that did not challenge him, did not prop him up, that did not pose a lot of challenges to really cultivate that skill set that would allow him to go out into the world, succeed, accomplish things, and be the great person who he became? So as you can imagine, it's very important that you take the time to study how you're painting your reality, your picture of everything around you, and you want to make sure that you paint it in a way that supports you, your endeavors, your actions, that's always propping you up, giving you the right attitude, allowing you to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. Okay, so now let's take a look at the opposite spectrum. Let's take a look at what happens if you paint your picture in a way that does not support your endeavors, that is entrenched in a lot of negativity, that props you down, pushes you down in the dirt, and grinds your face in it. Okay, so what happens in that spectrum? And to really take a look at this, I'm going to take a look at something that I see very often with a lot of people who are lost in scarcity as opposed to abundance. So what's the difference between these two things here? So scarcity is the idea that you don't have a lot of resources, you don't have a lot of things going on in your life, and you're really trying to reach out, grab things, pull it in, trying to improve things. Abundance is when you have so many resources that it's not a big deal. If you have something new come into your life, it doesn't really faze you. But if you're in scarcity, okay, and you've had a lot of bad things happen to you, you may perceive things in such a way that you focus on the negative things that are happening. And the ironic thing is the fact that you focus on that means that these things are more predisposed to actually occur because you're focusing on that and not investing your energy into the things that you really want to happen, right? So one thing I see with a lot of people in scarcity, especially in social situations, if they don't have a lot of friends, maybe if we're talking about guys, they don't have a lot of girls, they don't have a lot of things that they really want, is, they're very negative about things. When bad things happen, instantly they think, okay, I'm going to paint my world in this way that I'm the victim. Something is happening to me, and I don't want it to be like that, but it's happening that way, and I'm really pissed off, okay? So a lot of guys take this routine, and they always focus on the negative thing, and ironically, the negative thing happens. And one thing I want to focus on is, I've seen this a lot with some of my friends who are in scarcity. Basically, so the idea, if this person who's in scarcity, they go out, they meet somebody, they hit it off, they have a good time, and maybe they get a number, okay? And since they're in scarcity, they're always leeching off of people, trying to get value, trying to pull lifeblood out of them and get what they're really looking for. And what happens is, as a result of that, maybe after they get that number, they're really excited. So they send off a lot of, texts, calls, and they're very needy. They need something from that person. And as human beings, we try to stray away from neediness just instinctively. It's like when you're in a city and somebody comes up to you, a bum or a homeless guy, and they say, "Give me money, give me money." Who pays attention to him? Almost nobody, okay? So what's going to happen in this situation, what usually happens is the person is really engaged with trying to get something from somebody else, and naturally either the person is going to be averted from them, they're too busy, or something else, and they don't return those calls or texts very immediately. And what happens is, since that person is so needy and they're entrenched in scarcity, they think, "Oh, this guy hates me, he hates me." And as a result of that, they end up ruining the relationship, because if they bring that kind of negative energy, nobody wants to be around that, right? So as a result of that, the person shuns them away, and they don't want to be around that negative energy, and nothing comes out of that relationship that was just budding and could grow into something really great, okay? But the really odd thing is that happened because the person who's in scarcity painted their picture of reality in a way that does not support the relationship and themselves. They chose to paint not an existence that supports them, but an existence that they hated, that props them down and does not support them, okay? So what could have happened maybe is, maybe the person's busy. Maybe they don't have time at the moment to actually get back to them. And maybe if the person didn't flip out, they could have gotten back to them and something great could have happened. So from both of these examples, you can see that it's very important that you take the time to structure your reality in a way that is conducive to the goals you're trying to reach and always supports you. And you want to take the time, slow down, analyze things, and make sure that you're creating a reality that you love, not an existence that you hated. right, now that you briefly know what I'm talking about when I say paint your picture of reality in a way that supports your endeavors and all that you're doing, let's actually take a look at what you can do if you're painting your reality in a way that does not support you, that does not prop you up, that does not motivate you, and how you can improve that and motivate yourself. Okay, so the first thing I want to really focus on is the fact that painting your reality and changing things, engaging in a paradigm shift, takes time, okay? The current way in which you paint your world, all the talent that you used to paint your picture, you know, the lines that you have to paint very intricately, the color schemes you've got used to in filling in the different shapes you paint, that took time and effort to cultivate, okay? With anything that is great, anything that lasts, and anything that is monumental, it essentially takes time, effort, and commitment. So if you want to shape your reality and all that you do in a way that supports you and gives you more than it takes, you need to conscientiously say, I'm going to take the time, make the time, no matter what, to change how everything is going on here and cultivate a new painting style such that it supports me and all that I'm doing. And I'm willing to put in any time and spend as long as I have to with as many iterations as possible until I get to the desired outcome that I want. And furthermore, I don't think you should think of it as something in which you're trying to go towards, because this is a lifelong process. Me personally, I don't paint the best picture of reality that is possible. I'm always working on it, always trying out new different techniques, always improving how I perceive things. And I think that the day in which you decide that you're done improving these ideas is the day in which you slide down the mountain you climb throughout your life. So you want to have the mentality that you're engaged in what you're doing and you want to be committed. And the first thing I want you to do is to slow down. I'm going to repeat that again. Slow down. And the reason why this is important is because, as I mentioned previously, when we go out into the world, we're inundated with sensory information. It's pouring in like a waterfall, okay? And, you know, we're inundated with it. And if we don't slow down to take a look at what's coming in and how we shape that information that's coming in, how we take that paint and paint it on our canvas of reality, then what usually happens is we unconsciously paint a picture that either supports us or doesn't support us. But what we want to have here is we want to be in control of what's going on. We want to be the individual who is behind the wheel of the car, who is holding that paintbrush and painting the picture ourselves such that we can influence that and how it's affecting us. Okay? So what I want you to do is first slow down, analyze what is coming in, and then based upon that analysis, shape it into something that's going to support you and all you're doing when you actually go out to try to make improvements and improve your life. Okay? So the next thing I want you to do, after you slow down, you take the time, and you make the conscious decision that you're going to change this no matter what, is I want you to engage in what I'm going to call a reframe method, okay? And essentially what this consists of is once you identify something or a way in which you're painting your reality that does not support you, you're going to recognize that, take out the frame of your picture and put that frame on a new picture that is more conducive to the things that you're doing. And this is a very prevalent concept that's discussed in a lot of self-development, the idea of reframing. So the way in which this works is that whenever you find yourself falling into your old habits that are not conducive towards attaining the success that you want, is immediately you take action. You cut them off, okay? So let's suppose that you're a very negative person. Some situation happens that pushes you back into that negative paradigm. What happens is you recognize it, you reframe that situation into something else, and you cut off that instant response quickly. And the idea of this is that once you do that continually and over a long course of time, and you replace it with something that is conducive or a way in which you want to behave, is you find that you start adopting that new behavior. It gets integrated into your natural way of thinking, and what happens is, instead of falling into that negative thought loop that is the way in which your brain is currently programmed, you start naturally falling into this new paradigm that supports you, puts you on, and allows you to accomplish the things you want to do. Now, this is a concept that is generally discussed in self-development a lot, and it's usually termed as a positivity challenge. And I would highly recommend that you actually partake in this. And the way in which it works is you do exactly what I just described for about 30 days or more. You can pick any length you want, and every time you feel yourself falling into that paradigm you don't want to be in, you instantly take action, reverse it, reframe it into something else. You paint your reality in a different way that supports you more properly. Maybe you use more vibrant colors, maybe you're conscientious of the things that you're painting in front of you, but you do it in a way that it props you up and gives you the mindset, mentality, and the approach that you need to be successful in whatever you're trying to do. Okay, so I would highly recommend that you do that. It's going to transform the way you think. It's going to put you into the right mindset you need to be, and this is sort of like a reset button if you're in a current state that you do not want to be in. Okay, another important thing that I would absolutely recommend you do is really take a look at what you're putting into your body, okay? What you're putting into your consciousness. Because as I said previously, the sensory information that's coming in, that's like the paint that is available to you for painting the picture that you want. What do you think is going to happen if the paint that's coming in is a lot of colors that are not bright, that are not something that invigorates you, get you inspired, that props you up? Maybe it's very dull colors that are very boring, that makes you sleepy, or things of this nature. And examples of this are maybe negative music, or friends who are not encouraging, who are negative, that don't prop you up and give you the positive outlook that you need. Or maybe it's books that are not conducive for what you're doing, or it could be anything. But basically, it's sensory information on the outside that is coming in and giving you all these ingredients to work with that just do not result in a nice picture that you want to create for long-lasting success in your life. So what you can do is, take some time, list out things that do not support you, and cut them out. Cut them out completely. This can include maybe food that does not support you, because if you eat a lot of food that is high in high fructose corn syrup, processed things, a lot of carbohydrates that do not give you the momentum and fuel to actually go out and accomplish the things that you're trying to accomplish, what's going to happen is it's going to hold you back. It's not going to give you the fuel you need to go out and do the things you want to do. Maybe you're engaged in a lot of music that holds you down, that's very negative, or maybe art that's very negative, and you need to cut these things out and replace them with things that encourage you to do the things you want to accomplish and are always propping you up on a higher level that is closer towards the dreams in the sky that you're trying to reach. Okay? So what you want to do is you want to surround yourself with positive influences, role models, and things that give you reference experiences that say, you can do this, you can make it happen. If you put in the time, no matter what, you will find a way. So what I did when I was lost in that kind of mindset is I surrounded myself with role models that are very encouraging, that give you the motivation that you're looking to attain. Okay? And what happens is, if you're surrounded with all of these influences and you're pouring in this sensory information that supports you and your endeavors, you're going to have a lot of paint, and basically all the paint you have for painting your reality is going to be something that supports you, and almost by default you're going to paint a picture that is conducive for all the things you're trying to attain. And the other good thing is, by getting a lot of good reference experiences that say you can do this. When you're in situations which you doubt yourself, or you're uncertain about certain things, you're going to have the experiences that say so and so did this, or you can make this work by doing it this way, or a ton of different things that let you know that you can make it happen. And instead of giving up, instead of focusing on things that don't support you, that push you away from the things that you're going to do, they're going to put you on, they're going to allow you to get back on that track record of excellence, and you're going to make things happen. So fill your mind up with great experiences. Always be reading, always be putting good things into your mind, always be eating the things that prop you up and give you the nutrients you need to go out into the world, accomplish the things you want to do. And what you will find is that whatever ticket you want in life, you will buy it, you will make stuff happening, and you will make the life that you want to live. So after reviewing the videos that were shot out in the woods, I actually realized that one central concept that I wanted to include in this compilation was not discussed. So I'm going to discuss that now. And that's the idea that when you choose to go, when you choose to start this journey of modifying the way in which you perceive the world such that it supports you, and you slow down to take the time to actually make those adjustments and dedicate yourself to the process. One thing you want to do is you want to start off by accepting things for what they are. Because as I talked about earlier in the videos, we have so much sensory information that's pouring in. And when it's being poured in, all of us have our own lens through which we see the world. We filter that information. And when it comes in, sometimes it's not pure. It's not what it essentially is. Because we have a ton of different influences, social conditioning, which transforms everything that's being poured in into something that it isn't, or a partial representation of what it is. So if you want to make a change in how you paint your world, your surroundings, and how you perceive things, you're going to want to accept things for what they are and see the true essence of everything in front of you. And the reasons for doing so are twofold. And I'm going to start out first with the idea that, when you perceive things and the way in which you paint your reality and the surroundings around you, it's done to give you a map such that you can navigate the world around you, as I explained previously. But what happens if that map does not converge upon reality? In that case, it's not going to be something that allows you to navigate the world in a wise and knowledgeable manner, right? Because it's going to be a map that deceives your decisions and your understandings. And it's on par with trying to navigate, for example, New York with a map of Detroit. It's not going to give you the information you need to make those wise decisions and guide you to wherever you're trying to go, okay? So when you make this journey, you want to put together a map that converges upon reality and gives you the information, the understanding, and the decision-making capability that will guide you towards the right direction and where you personally want to go. Okay, so you want to start out first by accepting things, okay? And the other reason why this is so important is the idea that If you want to modify the way in which you perceive things and the way in which you paint your world, okay, you need to see things for what they are. Because as I explained previously, we're going to be slowing down and analyzing things. And what do you think is going to happen if you slow down and you analyze something that is being misrepresented? If you analyze the world around you in a way in which it's not a direct portrayal of the things around you, in that sense, you're going to be modifying things that really aren't as they are, and you're going to have to go through many iterations before you get to this nice perception and clarity of the world around you. So what you need to do is you need to see things for what they are. You need to take that lens of how you perceive things off such that you can see things for what they truly are. And, the visual information, sensory information of things around you can pour in a pure state that is not distorted from what it is in reality. And that's going to help you on your journey and put you on the right path from the beginning and allow you to actually pave a way at the things you need to be really concerned about.